Hey there. Thank you so much for asking me to do your reading for you. The question I have for you. Oh, before I start with that, hi, I'm Adam. I welcome back to my channel, Real Life, Real Terror, and today we're going to explore a question: whether our querent gets into whether it's in their best interest to get into Emerson College or Chapman Uni. What I'm going to do is look at, I'm going to do it as a this or that reading. So basically the way that works is that I pick a card that best represents one choice. I pick a card that best represents another choice. And then I look at what the cards that connect to each of those choices look like for you. Now, you were particularly concerned about the financial aspect of being able to afford each of these courses. Now, I should say it is very possible for both choices to be good, like one may be marginally better than the other. It's also possible for both choices to be bad. And that's something that you may have to consider as well. I know because I have done this reading for myself and I've had that experience as well. All right, so what cards am I going to pick for each of them? I'm going to pick two cards that I think best connect with the act of writing, creative writing, because that's the course you want to do. And I have been dying to use this deck, and you presented me with an option to actually use it. And I'll explain why I like it, but I think the answer will become fairly obvious. So the Ace of Swords is going to depict one of the writing courses you're interested in. And I think I know the other card. If he presents himself. I mean, of course he should, otherwise he'll be missing. And that would be even worse. Nope. Yes. Page of Wands. Mr. Daniel Malloy, the journalist from the Vampire Lestat, will present the other one. So which one is going to be which? I'm going to say Emerson, Chapman. Chapman Uni, Emerson College. All right. So the question you asked again was, will I be able to fund or support myself in either of these courses? Let us begin. Benefit of the first option. Disadvantage of the first option. Other advice. Final outcome if you take Emerson College. These cards are massive. My hands are not small. Problem with massive cards is that sometimes they fall outside the frame. Benefit of option 2. Drawback of option 2. Any other advice and outcome if the option is chosen. So I'm going to just do a quick check to see if they're all in frame, and it looks like they are, more or less. Now, because I like a challenge, and because I don't like to do things easy, I've also picked a Marseille deck, and the Marseille deck can be pretty challenging to understand if you're not initiated in it, and I'm not. But I really like the artwork, and I think the tarot pop culture is best suited for this reading. So I picked the card Ace of Swords for Emerson College, and we're going to look at what is contained within this option. So we have the Three of Wands, depicted by the power of three from Charmed, the TV series. The Three of Wands is an expression of power, the expression of control and creativity. It is a very positive card. It's about, when you have an idea and then you start planning in your head, the Three of Wands comes next when you put it out into the world and you start working towards it. It is an expressive display. It's a display of expression, a display of like stabbing towards that. When it's reversed, as it was in this case, the benefit of this option is that you may, if you have any distractions, sexual or otherwise, what this card is kind of telling me is that your ability to focus, to bunker down and focus on a degree will, take precedent. So I think what this card kind of suggests is that, there may be more routine, there may be more discipline, but you might also find that you might stick to a routine and be structured in following that. We also then come to the drawback of option A, Emerson College. The drawback, we have the Fool, best expressed by a link from that goddamn game. Zelda, that's it. Sorry. The Link is on the beginning of his journey. He works patiently exploring the world around him if you play the game. I've never played Zelda. But the Fool as a card generally talks about the act of, taking a chance on the universe and trusting that whatever comes is meant to be. I mean, it's a card of innocence, it's a card of naivety. And when it's a drawback, it kind of suggests that maybe it is quite possible that you may be a little bit unplanned in how you might actually for this. Now, I don't know a thing about either of these universities, but there may be hidden costs associated with this that you may not be aware of, and you probably need to do a little bit more work in figuring out the details if you're going to go down this path. And that can be things like, how are you going to live, what expenses are going to be like from day to day, week to week, and whether that's going to be easy to afford. It's not just about, the cost of the course. It's about the cost of living as well. The Fool is very much about that journey, the whole journey, not simply making a choice, but looking around you and the other thing that having Link here kind of tells me is that you will be having cornflakes for dinner. The Fool as a card is someone who lives very simply. They travel very much with just the belongings on their back, and they end up basically, living a minimalist life as a result. And that's, that's who they are as a person. They're kind of that vagabond kind of character. And as a drawback card, it might be suggesting that this may be the more expensive choice. And as a con of this choice is this will affect your lifestyle as well. When I look at these two cards together, and I'm not supposed to be doing this right now, but when I look at these two cards together, what I can potentially see is that money troubles may affect the way you look at your course and you look at your life if you pick this option. Something to think about. Other information. we have the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups typically, it's a reference to Sleepy Hollow. The Eight of Cups typically symbolizes achieving a state of emotional satisfaction. You've come very far, and there's a lot in front of you, and you feel that sense of joy. But you feel that sense of joy because you feel like not from necessarily the work, but from the lifestyle you live, from the people you meet. This is the suit of cups, after all, and cups as a suit are very much associated with the relationships we have, with the emotions we feel, and the connections we have with each other as well. And the Eight of Cups basically tells me that your relationships will, generally you hit a point in your relationships where you'll feel like you've got everything. But the challenge of Eight of Cups is that it's not 10. 10 is the final end. And very often we get stuck on an 8 because we're so happy that we fail to actually step out of that comfort zone to actually go on to bigger and better things. But when it's reversed, this card kind of tells me is that you may have struggles fitting into that culture and that community. If Two of Cups is about dating and romance, 4 is about, having a solid relationship. 6s and 8s tend to be about your relationship with a community and fitting in. And 8 of Cups kind of suggests that you may be unsatisfied or dissatisfied and feel disconnected from the people around you if you take on this choice. So it's something to think about whether that matters to you a lot or you're happy to go it solo. University and your tertiary education is very much also about the people you meet along the way as well. Finally, if you pick Emerson College, this is the final outcome. We see the Queen of Wands, Claudia, from the Vampire Lestat, Anne Rice novels. Claudia as a woman is creative, intelligent, brilliant, seductive, cunning, but she's also very driven. She is a student. She is someone who actually actively engages with people, and as an end card, as an outcome card, it kind of suggests you do end up becoming that person. You do end up achieving a lot. The thing about Claudia is that she's also a loner. She did have a lover. She had a partner and a friend, but at the same time, she very much works alone. So what is this basically saying about choosing Emerson College? I think what it's telling me is that none of these things are necessarily bad if you pick this. You may not find the community you're looking for here, but this won't take away from the end result, which is you will become a writer. You will become that brilliant person you were hoping for. You are going to become, you're going to have to live a very trimmed down lifestyle as you pursue your degree. But I think you kind of already know that. All right, so let's have a look at option 2, Chapman University. I work at a university, funnily enough, during my day role. So I also know what it costs to actually have a degree. I have quite a few of them myself. All right, so we first start with the benefits of Chapman University. 2 of Cups. We see a budding emotion, choices made as you pursue this. You find a sense of community from this choice. There are people like yourself within Chapman Uni. It's great. And generally there's a card. It talks about new beginnings. It talks about going further into, talks about meeting the right people and going further, taking that step as depicted by the red pill and the blue pill from the Matrix. this card is all about having the courage to go further because you've seen the choices, and yeah, even though they could be ugly, nonetheless, it's worth taking. What are the drawbacks? We see the guitar of Eddie Munson from Stranger Things, and this card has a drawback. Kind of talks about victory, it kind of talks about partying, the celebratory culture and lifestyle, and also the expression of your creativity. And the other things are not associated with creative, well, your study. So I think what this card is telling me as a drawback is the culture, the lifestyle may become a bit of a distraction from you and from your work. You may meet a lot of friends, you may meet a lot of people you like. You may also end up getting sucked into parties and lifestyle, and perhaps that takes away from your focus in your study. Other advice. Okay, we have the 10 rings from Lord of the Rings. This card talks about completion. It talks about basically it's attaining the final outcome of basically complete creativity, and then transcending this passion to pursue and start making paper, basically making money. The 10 of Wands, like all tens, symbolize a completion, the end of a journey. And when it's reversed, the 10 of Wands kind of talks about the darker side of the rings of power, the burden of carrying that ring to the end. And what this kind of tells me about your own journey, should you pick Chapman University, is that it's going to be a hard slog. For whatever reason, life, as you work towards your journey, towards the end, it is going to be stressful. It's going to be hectic. And the fact that there's not a 10 here, it's not right side up, kind of tells me there may be a risk that you don't end up completing it. The work ends up being too much, too excessive. So it's just some other bit of advice. Finally, we have the 4 of Coins, Akira, from Akira. The 4 of Coins typically depicts the power to actually achieve great things through hard work. Coins are the suit of material outcomes, money, and being able to actually, use it wisely to invest in your future. And as an outcome card, this kind of tells me that this might be the more expensive option. This might be the more dangerous option, because you may find yourself more wanting of finances should you end up choosing this. This card right side up talks about having the material and financial security in order to achieve your personal goal. Wands right side up, then the 4 of Coins reversed, particularly when we look at the financial aspects. Now the financial aspects is also depicted by the coins, and there's only one of these cards in this entire reading, which is also super weird, which kind of means that money was never really the issue. We then have wands, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it seems like your passion and your focus are more things that you need to be concerned with. What is going to keep you focused on achieving the goal you want, which is your degree, and what's going to distract from that, what's going to take away from that. This reading tells me that you will have a minimalist lifestyle as you work towards your end result of completing the degree. This one tells me that, it doesn't give me that info, but it does kind of tell me that the culture and community will end up becoming a bit more of a distraction, and that might result in you struggling to complete and go towards the end of your course. So that's my reading for you. I hope you find it useful. Do let me know what you think. And if you like it, please drop me a comment on my YouTube channel. Drop me a subscribe. And yeah, I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful afternoon or evening.